Denon PMA-600NE versus Marantz PM6007. And the real question is whether the Marantz costing more actually pays off where you listen. Both are compact stereo amps built for bookshelf speakers, both handle a turntable and a TV, and both are rated around 45 watts into 8 ohms, so the extra money has to show up somewhere else, in the sound, the digital inputs, or the phono stage. By the end, you'll know which one fits your room. Let's break it down. Sound signature is where this one gets decided, and I mean at the volume you actually listen at in a normal room. The Denon PMA-600NE leans toward openness and detail. Owners coming off older receivers keep describing the same thing. More air in the treble, more depth, the feeling that the room got a little bigger. There's an opinion about the Denon that captures it well. Coming from an older amp, the treble opened up and the sound stage got deeper, like my room had grown. My bookshelf speakers sound clearer than I expected, and I keep hearing small details in records I have known for years. The Marantz PM6007, on the other hand, is smoother and fuller through the middle, with a top end that's easier to sit with for a couple of hours. If your speakers already have a lively metal tweeter, that smoothness matters more than raw detail. So the Denon is the more open and forward of the two, and the Marantz is the one you're less likely to turn down after an hour. One flag on the Denon: if you're the kind who reads bench measurements before buying, its distortion and noise numbers have drawn a clear objection from a measurement-focused reviewer. Judged by ear, almost nobody complains. Both are rated 45 watts per channel into 8 ohms, so on the spec sheet, the power looks like a tie, and mostly it is. The difference shows up in grip. The Denon claims 70 watts into 4 ohms against 60 for the Marantz, so it has a bit more on tap for tougher loads. But the Marantz runs a toroidal transformer and a damping factor of 100, and that's the part you hear is bass control. Notes that start and stop cleanly instead of smearing. There's a buyer who describes the Marantz driving speakers that ask for more power than it makes. My speakers ask for more power than this amp makes, and it drives them without straining. I can listen quietly and still hear detail, and at halfway up the knob it plays louder than the 100-watt receiver it replaced. The Denon's bass is the lighter of the two, and a lot of owners end up running a subwoofer from its sub-output, which suits it. For a room around 12 by 16 feet with decent bookshelves, either one has power to spare. If your speakers are inefficient or the room is big, neither of these is your answer. Power settled. This is where the two stop being twins. Both give you 2 optical inputs and 1 coaxial. Both have a built-in DAC handling up to 24-bit and 192 kilohertz, and both have a subwoofer output. The Marantz uses an AK4490 converter and lets you choose between 2 digital filters to nudge the presentation, which the Denon doesn't offer. But the Denon has Bluetooth built in, and people say it pairs with a phone immediately and stays put. The Marantz has none. So if you want to send music from your phone without adding another box, the PM6007 falls apart there unless you hang a separate receiver off one of its inputs. Neither has USB. So if your source is a laptop, both need something in between, and neither one streams on its own, meaning no Wi-Fi, no app control, no built-in services on either. On vinyl, both take a moving magnet cartridge, and both are quiet enough that you can skip a separate phono preamp, with the Denon at 2.5 millivolts of sensitivity and the Marantz at 2.2, which in practice is a wash. Physically, they're not the same animal. The Denon is slimmer and noticeably less deep, which matters on a shelf or a desk, while the Marantz is the bigger, heavier box and feels the more solid of the two. Neither remote impresses. The Denon's volume steps are coarse and laggy, and the Marantz makes you walk over and press power on the unit itself, which brings up the money, because the Marantz costs quite a bit more, and you should know where that goes. You're paying for the heavier build, the toroidal transformer, the tighter bass control, the smoother voicing, and the DAC filters, so it's the more refined-sounding amp of the two. The Denon costs less and gives you things the Marantz simply doesn't have. Bluetooth, the compact chassis, tone controls, and an analog mode that shuts off the digital circuits for a pure analog path. The one asterisk on it is that a small number of owners report units failing or arriving faulty, which doesn't look like a pattern, but it isn't zero either. No fluff, that's the gap, refinement and build on one side, features and a smaller footprint on the other. Here's the call. For most people watching, the Denon is the one I'd buy, because it gives you more of what you'll use every day. Wireless from your phone, a chassis that fits where the other one won't, and it costs less doing it. But if your speakers already sound bright, and you listen for long stretches, the Marantz earns the extra money with its smoother voicing and tighter bass grip. And if you're feeding it a turntable and a CD player and nothing wireless, that's the one I'd point you to. Only skip the Denon if bench numbers are what you buy on, since that's the one place it takes real criticism. And you, which one would you pick? Let me know in the comments. Links below in the description.